Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 71. Can you believe that we're at episode 71 already? I'm grateful AF. Yes, I'm grateful for you and for tuning into this podcast for 71 episodes, so thank you. And yes, that is my dogs moving around in the background. I have a Havanese and Bichon Frise mix, which they call a Havishon, and then a Husky. So if you hear the little pitter-patter of their feet, then in the background, you know that's them. For all you mamas out there with little ones in the car or within earshot, just so you know, there's probably going to be an F-bomb dropped early on. Or there is an F-bomb dropped early on. So just to make you aware, in case you need to listen to this episode a little bit later. I know I probably fooled you since I said grateful AF. Have you left a review on iTunes yet? If not, I would love for you to head on over to iTunes and leave a 5-star review, letting other people know about this show so that people just like you can find it. And then, of course, screenshot it and send it to me on Instagram at Ordinary to Badass. Now to the episode. Okay, welcome. This episode is out on Thanksgiving and in perfect timing. It's called Grateful AF. Now, before we get started, I have to tell you a little story about AF. Now, I went out to coffee with a couple of girlfriends and they both had young children. I had never heard of the phrase AF. I was like, what does that mean? And they were like, as fuck. And I'm like, okay, why didn't you just say as fuck? And they're like, well, we do have young children. So everybody started laughing because, of course, I'm always the blunt one. I'm always just the one that says it. And I looked like it was crazy. Like, why wouldn't you just say the real thing? Why would you just say AF? But it was super funny. And of course, they're not going to be saying as fuck around their little kids. So then it always kind of became a joke. And like me and my sister-in-law always like joke and be like, oh, something AF or Jolly AF for Christmas. And she even got me like a wine glass that says Jolly AF. But so now I think it's funny. But I just had to share that short little story about AF prior to getting into this gratitude episode. Now, I don't know. I've always had kind of a love-hate relationship with gratitude. When it works, it can feel like you're floating or like everything in your life is perfectly aligned. But when it doesn't work, bring on the shame and the guilt. Or is that just me? You know, like you try to practice gratitude and it doesn't do a damn thing for you, then of course you feel like a bad person or ungrateful for not feeling grateful in the first place. And who even wants to admit that you don't feel grateful? So it just got me to wondering, like, what's the point of a gratitude practice if the only thing that brings you is shame? Or even if it brings you shame half of the time? And then I wanted to know, why does gratitude sometimes work and sometimes it doesn't? What are things that you can do to feel gratitude? These are things and more that I wanted to figure out so I could kind of finally settle it in my mind. because I like to say, like, the rah rah, like, yeah, gratitude, but yet sometimes it feels hard AF, right? Like, sometimes it just does not work for me. And then that frustrates me more than anything. So I don't know if you're with me on that, or if you have ever experienced that. And I would love to hear from you. Like, send me a DM on Instagram and let me know if you've ever had that struggle with gratitude. If you've ever felt ungrateful. So, first, I kind of looked into why practice gratitude? Like, what's even the point? Why should you even do it? There has to be a reason why people choose to be grateful AF, right? And why those people who practice gratitude seem to be like the happiest people in the world, or the happiest people to be around. Robert Emmons says, under crisis conditions, when we have the most to gain by a grateful perspective in life, in the face of demoralization, gratitude has the power to energize. In the face of brokenness, gratitude has the power to heal. In the face of despair, gratitude has the power to bring in hope. In other words, gratitude can just help us cope with hard times. So, yes, I like energy. I like to be healed. So that sounds cool if that's what gratitude is going to do for you. So it got me thinking about a couple things. Like, have you ever noticed how happy people in third world countries seem to be? Why are they so stinking happy? They don't have as much as people in the United States, yet they seem to be happier. Why is that? I truly believe that sometimes less is more. Like, have you ever cleaned out your house, cleaned out your closet, got rid of a bunch of stuff? So you felt so uncluttered and everything felt like it was in its place. And then you just kind of had a feeling like, oh, okay, like I feel free, I feel clean, I feel like, there's not much clutter, but you're appreciative of what you do have. And then when all of that clutter decides to come back your way, give it a couple of years or give it a couple months or weeks, whatever your thing is, then that clutter seems to seep back into your life and you can kind of feel the heaviness with it. And I know for me that that's true. When I went through a divorce, before the divorce was actually final, I was living in an apartment and I barely had anything, like nothing. And that was like the best I've ever felt. It's like, it was nice to not have stuff to like clutter it up and just have like one of whatever I needed, and I didn't even have one of whatever I needed. But I'm just saying, like, rather than having duplicates of things that I didn't need a duplicate of, it was freeing. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, maybe there is something to this whole less is more thing. Does everyone have the same gratitude playing field? Are we all on the same field here? Have you ever met those people who it just seems like gratitude comes so easy for them all the time? They are just so stinking happy and so stinking grateful. But then you're like, what the heck? Maybe you've thought you wish you could be more grateful or be more like those people. I know that I have from time to time. According to Summer Allen, some parts of the brain, maybe, I can't even pronounce this word. Oh yes, I can. Anatomically different in more grateful people. And one study found that people who are prone to gratitude have more gray matter in their inferior temporal cortex. And she also said that you can change your brain matter over time by practicing gratitude. So although somebody else might initially have more of it, like, you could probably catch up, or you can keep practicing and that can keep growing. So I thought that was interesting. And it was kind of funny that I just didn't know how to pronounce anatomically. Listen, if you don't know, I do not like big words. I don't. It was a quote, but I don't like big words. And I traditionally say the KISS principle, which is like keep it simple, stupid. Do that for me. Give me the small words. I don't want big words in my life. Okay, I digress. But both genetics and personality types can play a role in how you practice gratitude. Think of people that are very materialistic or like narcissists. Are they grateful for anything? It's going to be pretty hard for those people to bounce back and to be grateful AF. I seem to think that it would be a little bit easier for the person that's materialistic. But who knows? I mean, if you've been materialistic your whole life, that's going to be freaking hard to break that habit, right? Okay, forgive me. I'm going to go down a rabbit hole really quick. That just totally reminded me of Hallmark, a movie called The Christmas Switch. And yes, I watch Hallmark movies. I do. Like, I feel like they're painfully bad, but like, I still love them. Like, how many movies have the same exact plot line for Hallmark Christmas movies? Anyway, The Christmas Switch, it reminded me because of talking about the person that just loves materialistic things. And so one of those ladies loved materialistic things and was really rich, and the other one didn't have anything, and then they had to switch bodies. And so the one that was materialistic ended up learning how to deal with nothing, and she became more grateful for what she had. So I'm sure I just proved a great point about gratitude because of a Hallmark Christmas movie. But you know, that's how I roll. So then I got to wondering, okay, fine. You can maybe be grateful, but how, like on an ordinary day, you can be grateful, but how do you be grateful in 2020, right? Like, it seems impossible almost to be grateful in 2020 or to like keep that at the forefront of your mind. So I wanted to know, like, how do you stay thankful when you are stressed out and life is hard? And I did not Google how do you stay thankful when a pandemic is, or when you're in the midst of a pandemic, but you know, you get the point. The thing is I'm talking with my hands and getting kind of animated here, so excuse like the banging on stuff. But there's not a magic pill that's just going to help you be grateful. There are times when gratitude is just going to be hard. And I don't know about you, but like I've practiced gratitude at times and it does nothing for me. And it doesn't fill me up or do all these things that it's supposed to do. And as I kind of said earlier, then I feel like a jerk and feel ungrateful because I wasn't able to feel gratitude even through doing a gratitude practice. But you know what? Life doesn't have to be all gumdrops and lollipops. It doesn't. But I also don't want to fake the funk. Like if I'm not feeling something or if something's not working for me, then I'm probably just going to tell you. I tend to be pretty straightforward and just say what I feel. I don't have a great filter. But it is what it is. That's me. Now, podcaster Polly Campbell said, "It is during these difficult times that gratitude must become an active practice. You must seek it out, and when you find it, you must celebrate the goodness and soak it all up." And maybe that's it. Maybe when goodness happens, we're not soaking it all up or imagining those good times enough. Like, I know from experience or from my experience, if I say I meditate in the morning and I imagine those good times, like when things just fell into place or when I accomplished a goal or something great happened, when I just sit there and think about that in my memory, then it brings that emotion right back as if it happened just right then. So maybe it's true. Maybe we're not soaking it all in. So that's something to think about. When you have great moments, like really just like embrace it, soak it in, maybe even write it down and how you're feeling so that you can go back to that as much as you want and it helps bring that feeling back to your body. Another article I found talked about thanking people who have done stuff for you in the past and maybe you didn't say thank you to them. And if like getting on a phone call or talking to them face to face seems too intimidating, then you can always write them a letter or just send them a thank you card. Sometimes it's just the small gestures. But then also, I mean, it feels good, right? To do something for somebody else or to say thank you and recognize somebody else for doing good. Like that always kind of warms your heart. And then if you're anything like me, I am a huge introvert and I love writing. Speaking, I mean, I've gotten better since I had done Toastmasters, but I am a much better writer than I am a speaker. Maybe it's because I've been writing. Well, no, that's not true. I was going to say, maybe that's because I've been writing for a lot longer, but that's 100% not true. Clearly, I didn't start writing at like 1 year old or 6 months old. Anyway, yeah. But like I didn't start public speaking until just a few years ago. So, again, you have to keep practicing and build that skill up. But saying thank you to somebody, it doesn't just have to be a verbal thank you. It can be a note or a letter, just some way to express it. And I think that the key here is to do something that aligns with you, like something that feels true to who you are. If you're a people person and you love talking to people and that's what brings you joy, then call somebody up or head on over to their house and just say thank you. But if you're like me and you're an introvert and you feel like you can express yourself better writing, then write it out. Get it out there. Why do you think that gratitude is fleeting? I don't know if you found that, but I certainly have. It's also easy to take gratitude for granted and feel like it will always be there. Well, actually, that's probably true for a lot of good things in life, right? Like where you think you finally got it down and it's here to stay, but then it doesn't. And when you have good things, it's like, how do you keep it? And why is it so fleeting? According to Vincent Nagayan, it isn't easy. Gratitude is something that you have to work on almost every day. Gratitude is fleeting, so you have to chase it down and hold its hand as tight as you can. And as soon as I heard that, it reminded me of a quote from Jack London. And it was a quote about inspiration. He said, "You can't wait for inspiration. You have to go after it with a club." Maybe the same is true for being thankful. You have to repeatedly seek it out. And when you find it, hold its hand, grab it, beat it with a stick, keep it, it's yours. But don't let it go. And then that got me thinking, maybe gratitude's not supposed to come easy after all. And the beauty is in the journey. According to Brett and Kate McKay, the first obstacle to greater gratitude is simple busyness and distraction. We may feel a sense of thankfulness for someone or something, but it quickly evaporates as our phone pings, kid cries, and any other thought simply intrudes the moment. Have you ever went to a quiet room, maybe just to get away from the kids or the family, the crying, the screaming, whatever it is? You went to a room just to get some quiet time, whether you're meditating or just trying to hear your own thoughts. And then somebody comes around and starts rustling around or banging stuff or just making a lot of noise. And it's so freaking irritating. It's easy to just quit, to just be like, well, I can't get my quiet time or I can't get the time alone, so they ruined it for me. Well, maybe you just leave it as it is. Maybe you let them move around or be loud or do what they want to do, but you still try to find your thoughts. You still stay in that quiet room and just notice what's around you. And maybe you just tell yourself, like, back to center. And you just kind of go back to your thoughts and go back to your head and forget what's going on around you. But if you can't, then just notice it. Notice that it's there. Now, I can tell you this is not something I've mastered. I am no good at it. But it's still something that I aim for or try to do. So all of that got me wondering about gratitude practices and stuff that we can implement in our daily lives. Like, what can we do to be more grateful? I've always heard about the gratitude journal and writing down 5 things every day that you're grateful for. And then if that doesn't work for you, those 5 things, you can expand on them, like why you're so grateful for them and put them in great detail. Now, I will tell you, for me personally, that has never worked. There is not a time where I've done the journaling and it's made me feel grateful. That kind of does the opposite thing for me. But again, that probably goes back to doing what works for you and knowing what doesn't work for you. Rabbi Jill Zimmerman suggested to create a gratitude jar. Like, every day, write down something that you're grateful for on a slip of paper and throw that into the gratitude jar. And then when you have a crappy day, just review all of those things that you're grateful for. And then it kind of puts you in a better mood. So I haven't tried that with gratitude. I've tried that with other things. Like when I did Toastmasters, when I first joined, they would give you little slips of paper and it would give you feedback on your speeches. And most of them were kind words, or even if it was feedback, it was still said in a nice way. And so like I would put those in a jar. And then when I felt like a crappy public speaker, then I would go back and I would view those notes that people had left me in the past, which was kind of cool. So I could imagine that working for gratitude as well. I also had my friend Lex Lakowski on the podcast, and he lived in a Buddhist monastery, I think for 18 months or 2 years. And I asked him about gratitude. Lex told me that people are usually just too selfish and consumed with themselves. So they forget to show up for other people. Lex's recommendation was to serve somebody. If you're in a funk or you're stuck or feeling down, then he said that you're making it too much about yourself. You're focusing all of your energy on yourself and instead consider pushing it out, doing something for somebody else, somebody in your family, a friend. And then when you're in service of other people, then you won't be so far in your own head. This year, 2020, is crazy. I would venture to guess that there are a ton of people out there who are struggling. There are people that you can help. They need whatever it is that you have to offer. So get out there and volunteer, help somebody, do something for a friend or family member, and just see how you feel. It's kind of hard to be both grateful and ungrateful at the same time, right? So if you're helping somebody else, you're probably just going to be happy and feel grateful that you were able to help them. Another thing that you can do to be grateful AF is when you wake up in the morning, think of everything you were grateful for. I have found that in the morning is the easiest time for me to be grateful. And usually it can really set the tone for my day. Practice, practice, practice. From doing different research, the biggest thing that I learned with gratitude is it's like a muscle. It won't get strong overnight. You have to keep practicing and flexing that muscle over and over again. creating a habit of being grateful. So then when there are tough times, you're able to weather the storm. And then you also don't have to get back in that habit, because during tough times is when you're going to fall back on what you usually do. So if you usually do a gratitude practice, then you'll probably keep doing that during the tough times. But if you only do it at certain times, then it will be so much harder to get into it when you're already stressed out. So I would love, love, love to hear from you. And I want to know how gratitude has worked in your life. Are you grateful AF? Have you ever struggled with gratitude like I have? I want to know about it. I want to know, is this just me? Is Marie on an island of her own here? Or have you ever struggled with it too? Listen, I'm not trying to suggest that you don't have a gratitude practice. I would love for it to work for me. I would love for it to work for you. Certain times it has worked for me and other times it hasn't. So I just kind of wanted to do a little research, dig in a little bit and find out what the deal is or what the dealio. Just so I can get to the nitty gritty of it. Because if I had it my way, I would rather feel like the airy, floaty type gratitude all the time as opposed to being on the struggle bus, right? But again, that's probably just going to come from practicing, from doing it all the time. Anyway, I would love to hear from you, to see what you thought. I also did this in blog form, so you can head on over to ordinarytobadass.com backsplash ordinarytobadass.com/grateful-af, and it will be in the show notes as well. ordinarytobadass.com/grateful-af. Now, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you loved it, I would be so grateful if you went on over to iTunes and left a 5-star review. As always, screenshot it, send it to me on Instagram at ordinarytobadass. Your feedback means the world to me. And I really would want to be able to send it to me on Instagram so I can say thank you. Your opinion, your feedback matters. All right, that's all for today. I'm out. And, to your badassery this week.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass, and get the chance to be on a future spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.